I've mapped the lights, the positioning of the lights on the floor plan, and you can use that to find them on your drawing. So 1/2 foot in from the end and 1 foot in from the width is our first light. So there's the end. So we're looking at something like this. And then there's an empty box, and then the middle of the next box. So something like this. Use your vanishing point. So once you've estimated the center of this box, you bring it all the way along. And you can go from there. It's easier to find the last one. And the last one is in the juncture between this overhang and itself. So I'm right here. So we've got a plan now where they're all going to go. And as you know, anything that you hang from the ceiling, it's best, I think, to begin on the floor because it's something we know. And then there, that's where it hits the wall. I go up the wall, keep as straight as I can here. Go up the wall. And when you hit the ceiling, not the gable, but the ceiling, you go across the other way. And this should be in front of the hood. We don't want them overlapping the hood. So I'll check that again. Remember, you're really working very hard to be accurate as you can. Okay, that's better. Now, all I have to do is bring these up. My points that I've chosen, just bring them up to meet this line. And luckily we have just space enough for all of our 3 lights. Now, this is where they'll be hanging from the ceiling. But we also have to find out how low they should hang. So we can go back to our floor, one of our elevations, and figure that out. So this is the top, this is our 10 feet. So we're coming down to 7 feet. Go along the same line, and we're at 10 feet. So there's 7, got my point. The most important message is that you follow this one line of thought all the way across. So you start on the floor, you bring it up the wall, you hit the ceiling, you go across using your vanishing points. So however, as long as they're over the island, that's the most important thing. Now I've got my line for where they should stop. Since I started out this way, I can go back this way now. I'll make a size for them. Now, the indication on the floor plan, as I was mentioning, I put the proper symbol down this time. It doesn't tell you how big they are, not usually. So or what kind they are. So that you have to rely on yourself to figure that out. So, and the dimensions that your references will tell you. Because I'm going to make a little box here on the floor. And I'm going to find the center. So I'm moving from the outside in. And that's the center of my light. I know that. This is the far side of my light. And I'm going to bring these boxes up once I make them. So, and this one's trickier. It's right on here, so it's hard. It's a little harder to see, but that's my center there. I'm going to choose this box. So I'll make an X here. And as long as that's my middle, I can go up. So what I did was I chose something that will give me a square. So I went from my original line. So now I've gone back this way and I've chosen a box for it. So I went over to the other half, and that's what I'm using now for my box. So you might want to do the same thing. And here's my box here. And then I can bring this up to the top, and I'll have a better chance of getting my lights in. See, they're getting larger as they're coming forward, so that's a good sign. And it'll be helpful when I start to, I'm just going to go back and use my vanishing point. This one's trickier, remember, that's the center. So I'm going to use this and use this. And okay, so these little boxes that I've made down below, I want to make them up at the top. Just ignore the gable there and go up. And where that hits, I'll go across the other way. Yeah, see? So it shouldn't interfere with this because we're just projecting with our vanishing point. So I'm going to bring that up. So I have the two of them. The first thing I did down below was to take that center and go through there and go through here and go through here. That's the first thing I did down below. I do the same thing up at the top. That's these lines, these center lines. That's what they are. Now I need to bring up the squares themselves. Now, unfortunately with the lights, I had to get my great fat head right under there in order to draw them. This was the right way to go. First of all, to get your boxes on the floor by positioning that halfway point that we had, and then following them to the wall, those two lines, following it to the wall, using your right vanishing point, follow it to the wall, take both lines up the wall, and ignoring the gable when it hits the ceiling, ignore the gable, and bring those across your ceiling and do it as accurately as you possibly can. And all we're going to do, and this might help for you to turn your drawing upside down because it's somehow easier to understand the floor than the ceiling. I don't know why, but it is. And not all I want to do is get these boxes up on the ceiling. So I have the parameters. I know how far front they can go. I know how far back they can go. I use my vanishing point to draw the rest of it, so that's not a problem. And I know my verticals. So it's, and I know how far front they can go because I took my 7 feet. Remember, you walk back and you use your 7 feet and you bring that forward, and that's going to give you your how far forward they can come. And if you use the 7 feet on the other side, that will give you the other side. I think I'm a little off there. It's just very hard for me to reach this stuff when I'm so far. Okay, so that, you know all of that. So from there, it's just a matter of joining everything up. And you can put in as much or as little of this as you want. If you have trouble when the lines get confusing, then don't make a whole line all the way up. just make the line that you need. So you may not need to put this in. If that's going to confuse what's going on here for you, then you can don't do that. Just do what you need. And my goal, keep your eye on what you're trying to find. I'm trying to find this box up here. So, and again, I know how far back. I can only go this far back. That's all I can do, because I transported this up and over. So I know that's the only depth I can give that. And then here, I've got to join these up. And then what you're noticing is that this is how far back it can go. That's how I can't go any further back. So that when I use my left vanishing point, this now would be the underside of my light. And because it's above eye level, I'm going to see inside it. And I'll have that nice arc. I'm going to make it so that it has a slant in, and I'll know the center here as well, so that when I put the seating, when I seat the light in the ceiling, I know it will be correct. And you just carry on. There's the next box here, and it can only go as far as there. Remember, that's our box. And you just keep going until you have all 3 of your boxes in. And don't forget, though, that this is the center. So when you have that next box in, this is where it's attached to the ceiling, that it's when you make that X, that's the center of your light. It just happens that they line up, the front and the back, but that's how they go. And you just continue on until you have all 3 boxes, and they'll give you different sizes for everything. So these are getting smaller as they go further away. The top as well will be, you have to use your vanishing point for that also, so that they will appear to be getting smaller as they go further away from us. So that's just very rough. You would draw it in more carefully and make them beautiful, but to get you started in the idea of bringing the boxes up from the bottom and bringing them up to the top.